everybody, this is the Outsider Reviews with another outside perspective. And today we're going to take a look at a game called Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Yeah, we're going to take a look at this one. I'm sure plenty of you have already made up your minds about this game. Whether you were a fan of the movies or you hated them, everybody knows of James Cameron's Avatar. You know, the one about the who simped really hard on the blue alien to the point where he betrayed his entire race just to get in her loincloth. Yeah, that one. Not at all to be confused with the 100-year-old bald kid who's got a severe identity crisis and simps after a 14-year-old splish-splashy girl. However, moving right along from what is now blatant plagiarism, looking at you, Way of Water / Way of Fire. Book 1 water. Book 3 fire. We're not worried about that stuff. What we're worried about is whether this is a good game and whether it is worth your money. So let's get right along and find that out, shall we? Now, I'm going to get more in depth a little bit later, but if I were to summarize this game, I'd say that it's basically Far Cry, specifically Far Cry Primal, with a little bit of Far Cry 4 with the gunplay, mixed with, I'd say Horizon with its egregious crafting system. And once you get to the open world, you can tell right away that this was made by the same developers who made all the Far Cry games. With the big, expansive, mostly empty map, with 1,000 side quests, but with none of them really holding any meaning to the world whatsoever. All the way down to attacking enemy outposts, or in this case, taking care of power plants or seismic drills, so you can save Mother Nature! And aside from doing casual eco-terrorism, you're also gonna do the things that, well, you wanted the RDA to stop doing anyways. You're gonna be roaming around killing animals left, right, and center to get their pellets and stuff for high-quality crafting ingredients. You're gonna be taking down trees and tearing apart the forest looking for those oh-so-coveted rare materials. Which kind of defeats the purpose of what you're doing. You're supposed to be a Na'vi, one with the nature of the planet, with what they call Aowa, their god, or goddess, whatever you want to perceive it as. But, you know, it just goes against that entirely. You're supposed to be a protector of nature, yet the duality of it is you're rolling around, killing everything in sight in hopes that you get good gear. What? I digress. I shouldn't be ranting right now. That's for later. Right now, I need to be getting into the review and telling you guys my thoughts and opinions and insights and whether or not this game is worth your money. So let's get on with it, huh?
Yes, get on with it!
So the game begins with you as a small child Na'vi who's been indoctrinated by the RDA into thinking that you were saved by them during a great extinction of your clan. This is all, of course, a bunch of bullshit, and the Na'vi kids catch on, so they decide, hey, let's escape, and so they try. This, of course, fails, and they get caught immediately because they try and exit through the front door. So, instead of putting up a fight because the kids know that they are stronger than the itty-bitty humans, they start singing. This, of course, fails again, and one of them gets shot because she tries to just walk out the door while they're yelling and pointing guns at them.
Yeah, bet you're not gonna do that again now, are you?
All I can say is this is all just nat 1s being rolled on intelligence and charisma. Absolutely nat 1. So after their friends die, you and the other Na'vi children decide to just stick it out in
the concentration camp,
which is essentially what they're in, and they just get fed more RDA bullshit. Fast forward a number of years, and suddenly the RDA is under attack and being kicked off the planet by Jake Sully.
We have lost Pandora. Some Avatar driver named Jake Sully went full native, turned the Na'vi on us. That's why you can't trust any of them.
You know, that guy from the movie. So the RDA does exactly what humans do, and they start destroying all their shit so that the Na'vi can't use it. And that includes trying to kill the Na'vi kids. Your teacher, of course, finds her heart and decides to save you by shooting the other people and then locking you up in stasis for, I think, 16 years?
What happened?
Been asleep for a while. A long, long
long while.
So yeah, fast forward 16 years after the events of Way of the Water, and here we are, staging rebellion against the RTA. The cool part is, though, you do get to customize your Navi. Although the customization isn't very deep, and I feel like later on they're gonna just tack on a bunch of DLC, quote-unquote. And I'm not a huge fan of the male voice of the game either. The female voice is pretty good, though.
Your dire horse looks so powerful.
Now, I really don't want to spoil the rest of the story, but that mostly stems from laziness, I guess. I could. You're hunting down a guy named Mercer. That's pretty much it. The rest of it is, I guess, tied to the movies loosely, but that's about it. So now let's move along to other things.
And now for something completely different.
So right off the bat, you could probably tell that this game is gorgeous at times. Primarily at night. During the day, it's nothing special. It looks like most other games, but at night, when all the flora and fauna is alight and glowing fluorescently, it looks really pretty. But it does not look good enough to warrant its egregious performance. Oh my goodness, does this game run poorly at times. I'm running an RTX 3060 Ti, 16 gigabytes of RAM, an i5-11400F, and it's, you know, this isn't a terrible PC, and it's not, you know, a super beast, but it gets the job done, and it runs everything else that I throw at it at 120 frames per second or more, and this game struggles to hold 60. On the flip side, this game runs fantastic on the PS5, at least in performance mode. I have plenty of footage of my fiance playing the game on PS5 while we were playing through the game on co-op, and it runs on there really good for the most part, except for the bugs, but we'll get into that later. However, one bug I do need to mention right now, as it does tie into the presentation, is the lighting in this game just does not know what the heck it's doing, like, at all. There's often times where the lighting just streams through rocks in ways that makes no sense. Kind of like how it's supposed to stream through tree branches, except there's no tree branches. It happens in the middle of the plains, and the light will start flickering and it'll appear and disappear randomly, and it's crazy. And the music in this game, it's not really there, and when it is there, it's not anything to write home about. It sounds exactly like what you'd expect it to sound like if you've seen the movies. Not to mention, the music is set so low as the standard sound that you can't hear it over all the explosions and stuff that's going to be happening anyways. However, fortunately enough, aside from the presentation, the gameplay is absolutely there. Well, when you're actually partaking in the gameplay itself. Let me explain. See, most of this game is running around looking for loot, and that's it. You're going to be running around, as I said before, and combing the areas all over the place looking for high quality gear so you can raise your item score up enough so you can actually do the next thing that you need to do. And this is how this massive snake eats its own body. I personally hate this system because before, in classic Far Cry games like Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, geez, I can't believe I have to refer to those as classic now. In those games, you were able to basically tackle everything from the get-go. Your starting loadout, even your starting pistol, was viable all the way to the end. Whereas in this game, you're just forced into a bunch of padding where the game just drags on because you're forced to look for high quality materials to craft better gear to raise your gear score so you can tackle harder missions. But the problem is, there is not an instance in this game where you actually feel like you're getting more powerful, because all your other side quests that you've picked up along the way scale with your level. So you never feel like you're getting more powerful or things get easier. It just forces you to get better equipment so that you can do things that have a higher number tied to it. And it's one of those freaking annoying ass systems where it doesn't matter how powerful individual pieces of gear is. If your gear level score is just one level too low, you're gonna magically be just shooting BBs instead of bullets at the enemy. However, on the flip side, the enemies are going to be just annihilating you with the rays and fires of the heavens, and you'll die faster than you can even blink. Thankfully, I have a fiance who's weird enough to actually enjoy wandering around a giant forest aimlessly looking for high-grade materials to craft powerful enough gear to tackle this stuff in the first place.
Groovy, baby.
I didn't have the patience for that, and I can see how plenty of people wouldn't either. So that is a pretty massive barrier for play.
Gotcha, bitch!
It really comes down to whether you enjoy exploring the map and really looking into everything around you versus running through and just tearing things apart. Because this game really rewards and demands that you spend a lot of time aimlessly wandering around the forest looking for materials. The rest of the gameplay is actually really fun. First off, I actually enjoy the Ikron, being able to fly around and stuff, and you do get that a little bit too early in the story, I think. Because, you know, being able to just fly around right from the beginning is honestly a little too much and stops you from being able to do the thing that you're actually incentivized of doing, which is actually roaming the forest and looking around. Not to mention, it renders another skill completely useless, which is being able to ride the dire horses, which it all but locks you into in the second half for all of 3 or 4 fucking minutes, and then suddenly you get your Ikron back and you'll never ride a dire horse again.
Oh my. What are you doing?
The gunplay is also really fun, and when you do actually engage in combat, you'll find that you move at pretty fast pace, and for those of you who like to play Doom and stuff, you'll feel right at home being able to dodge left and right and slide all over the place and slide cancel and jump super high and stuff. It feels very Call of Duty-ish. And I do have to say, it is really fun to be reminded all the time that you're a 14-foot tall alien, because you'll come across just normal humans outside of exosuits all the time, and it is freaking hilarious to ragdoll them around when you just bitch slap them. I do have to say that they implemented co-op perfectly in this game. Distance does not hamper your ability at all. You can go all the way across the map from each other. The only caveat is you have to be near each other when you start missions and stuff, but that's not a huge deal. And it made being able to tackle a bunch of the side stuff together way easier. And this game is a hell of a time sink, so having someone just helping you clear the map twice as fast is really useful. We were able to complete the game in about 28 hours, I want to say. We played this game a lot, and it took us quite a bit of time, although most of our time was actually spent scavenging for better materials. But yeah, the co-op, amazing, perfect, and my recommended way to play this game.
Nice.
Now, I feel like I should talk about the equipment you will be using in this game and the weapons and stuff. Assuming you've played any Ubisoft game in the recent years, then you already should know what you're looking at for gear. First up, we have your armor, which is going to be just, you know, a bunch of clothes and stuff that has numbers tied to it, and that'll raise your gear score. But also, you'll have your weapons, which is a bunch of bows. Like, there's 3 different bows, and I don't understand why there has to be. In fact, the final bow you get is the short bow, and it is rendered redundant because your longbow, it already does the same thing. But then you get RDA assault rifle and an RDA shotgun, and then a spear thrower, which the spear thrower is kind of useless with its wind-up time, and you're going to be spending most of your time using the hunting bow, the longbow, the assault rifle, and the shotgun. And for some reason, there are no lethal grenades. You have these concussion grenades that you have to use to stun things, and that's it. Which makes no sense because there's all sorts of explosive barrels and stuff everywhere to just annihilate and flatten your enemies with, so why can't we just have normal grenades? And while, yeah, there are technically landmines and stuff that we can use, you have to, for some reason, equip a weird, like, racquetball thing to throw it, and it makes no sense. Like, just grab the fucking thing and throw it.
By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
And there's just these weird decisions all over the place that kind of contradict each other, and you can't help but notice all these faults in this game that keep it from being, you know, a good game. It's just an alright game. And back to presentation a little bit, speaking of the weapons, they don't even sound good. They sound really stock, like they came from an old 2004 game. And the crafting. Oh my god, the crafting. This game should have been called Avatar Crafting of Pandora. Like, that's what this game is. It's an absolutely unavoidable mechanic that you have to participate in all the time, whether it's cooking food or crafting the gear that you're going to be using every 2 minutes. And because of that, you're going to be constantly tearing apart the forest looking for high quality ingredients or crafting materials, killing entire packs of animals just so you can get some meat and a high quality pelt. But you also have to make sure when you're hunting animals that you have to kill them cleanly and efficiently, or else you quote unquote ruin the pelt. And if you ruin too many pelts in a row, the game punishes you by just randomly spewing fart gas in your face. Not only that, but you have to make sure that you eat constantly, because for some reason there's got to be this weird survival mechanic where you have this energy bar and you have to keep it filled so that you can regenerate health. And if it goes empty, then you start to slowly die and you can't regenerate health. Which I suppose could be a cool mechanic, except for you have to constantly eat, like your character goes hungry all the time, and if you get hit by electricity, you just become starving immediately. So the game quickly devolves into just gargling food down your throat, which is, again, the opposite of what you're supposed to do. Like, I get that a 14-foot tall alien probably needs a lot of food to stay running, but at the same time, you're eating full meals constantly, and it forces you to have to go gathering all the time for food, and it incentivizes you to get the higher quality ones so that you can get better buffs. But here's the thing, you would think that a more powerful buff with a higher quality ingredient would mean that the buff itself would be more powerful and that it would last longer, and you'd be half correct. It does in fact last longer, but that's it. And it can last upwards of 50 minutes, which makes no sense because buffs don't stack. So the second you eat something else, your buff is overridden by another buff, and you're gonna be hungry way faster than that buff runs out. And that's where the system makes no sense, because your character gets hungry so freaking often that your buffs don't matter, and you often will just be gargling food without even thinking about it because you can't afford to. You have to shovel food down your throat.
Eating like a sexy man can.
Okay. Alright, that's enough ranting for now. So remember earlier when I said that I would be talking about bugs? Well, this game is absolutely chock full of them.
That's wildly inappropriate.
Oh, I definitely need to get this looked at. Did someone slaughter a goat in here? Yeah, I feel like I'll get hepatitis if I touch anything in this f***ing town.
Now, I do have to clarify that a good portion of these were caught on the PS5. Most of the PC bugs I've encountered so far were just technical issues where the game wouldn't load in fast enough. And that could just be a GPU issue for me, but I don't know. However, that probably just stems down to the terrible performance this game has on PC. And I do mean pure dumpster fire performance. As with all things Ubisoft, the PC port, of course, gets the short end of the stick.
It is what it is.
Alright, so what do I think about this game? I think it's a solid 5 out of 10. Mediocre game. It has some pretty visuals occasionally, and the gunplay can be satisfying at times, But overall, the game just has way too much padding, and it does not have any sort of payoff. The story ends kind of abruptly and makes way for paid DLC, which I don't think I'm gonna get, and I couldn't easily recommend this to anyone unless you A, find it on sale for really cheap, and B, you have a friend who's interested in playing through the game with you. And yeah, sometimes this game can be extremely immersive when you're walking through the forest at night, but that's about it. Like, you'll be immersed for all of 3 seconds until some animals just jump out of the woods, you defend yourself, then fart gas is thrown in your face because you ruined all the pelts. Or when one of the many bugs hit you in the face glaringly and you just can't ignore it. And if you are going to pick up this game, I would steer clear of the PC version, at least until some stability patches come along and the game is improved. Because this game runs like hot garbage on PC. It seems to run fine on PS5, which means that I'd assume it runs fine on the Xbox Series X as well. However, these are all just opinions. This is all my experience and mine alone. You might have a different experience. If you're a diehard fan of the series, then by all means, play this game. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. A lot more than I did, at least. This has just been an outside perspective. Thank you for watching. And please go ahead and check out the descriptions in my videos. I have links for other channels, my gameplay channel, which I will be uploading some videos soon because, you know, life has been crazy, but I'm going to be getting back into my videos again. I am going to be taking a look at Trepping 2 next. I already know that I'm going to look at that, and I am going to upload some videos of me playing through that game because that game is really fun and it has been my obsession recently. Thank you. Please also check out my merchandise. I have merchandise through Streamlabs, and the link will be down in the description. I appreciate you guys. Peace.